and they budget losing a lawsuit on that song. They make 5, 10, 20, 30, 50 million dollars. What if they have to pay, let's say, $250,000 or $500,000? They don't care. Dua Lipa's Levitating sounds like a hit. Now tell me again how that doesn't count. You know what? If a song doesn't sound like a hit, it won't be a hit. Hello everyone, welcome back to MeSpace TV, David here. Hope you're having a great day. So, wasn't I right or not? Dua Lipa just got sued for the second time by two songwriters. Brown and Linz are claiming that the opening melody of Levitating is a duplicate of two of their songs, Wiggle and Jiggle All Night and Don Diablo, respectively from 1979 and 1980. I personally think with the second lawsuit, they kind of served the win on a silver plate to Dua and her team, proving that, like I said in my first video, there are so many songs that use the same rhythm, the Charleston rhythm, the same chord progression, and the same vibes, so to speak. In fact, it goes back to the Jacksons. And even before that, there's so many 70s disco songs that have the same vibe, the same rhythm, the same cadence, and the same probably chord progression. But regardless of the lawsuits, I want to take the time to kind of talk a little bit about coping in the music business. Started with saying anyone that has been doing music for a little bit knows that there are hundreds of songs out there that not only have the same chord progression and rhythm, but also very similar melodies, because at the end of the day, when you have 4 chords and that's your hook, there are only a number of melodies and combinations that are gonna fit those 4 chords. And in pop music, this is very common to reuse the same chord progression and the same structure, and maybe it's just changing chord number 2 with number 3 and switching the place. Because pop music is all about earworms, and earworms are nothing else but familiar sounds and familiar chord progression and familiar top lines. This is basically pop music. The key is to rearrange, and I'm talking about the actual arrangement of a song, and variating progression, top line, rhythm, melody enough to feel new and modern and up to date, but not enough to feel unfamiliar, because you want familiar. Because all those songs that charted, they charted for a reason, because certain combination are earworms. They just get stuck in your head and in the head of the audience. And this is the catch, guys. This is the music business. There's very little ethic in the music business because there's millions at stake, sometimes billions. So many times the similarities between songs are just a coincidence and just the nature of using the same chords and the same chord progression, which, by the way, you can't copyright a chord progression. Just like you cannot copyright a rhythm, like the Charleston rhythm, like in the case of Dua Lipa. If that was the case, Outkast would have sued Dua Lipa first, because she actually said it. She took inspiration from their song, which sounds very similar to Dua Lipa Levitating, which in turn sounds very similar to Article Sound System song. So Outkast should sue all of them, and the Jacksons all 3 of them. It doesn't work that way because you can't really copyright a vibe. But regardless, sometimes the similarities are a coincidence, sometimes they are planned. You see cycles of styles coming back. Right now we are in a cycle where 80s music is coming back, and all the influences, the sounds, the rhythms, the melodies. We are in a time in which 80s music has a big influence. Look at The Weeknd, look at Dua Lipa, or everybody else on the charts right now. When you have a charting song that is somewhat new, that creates a style. A lot of people are going to do songs in that style, right? If you let enough time pass, you can recycle that style. And that's what the music business have been doing for a long time. And like I said, many times it's planned, but how is planned? Many times they don't really care if the audience can tell if a song was copied or heavily inspired by another previously released song. They just make sure that they change things enough so they cannot be sued, or whoever suing them won't win. And I'm not a lawyer, but it's not that easy to win a copyright dispute. And the music business has been doing this for long enough that they are 99% sure of what they do, that in case of a lawsuit, they will win. Otherwise, they would not risk exposing their side with songs that are going to go on Billboard and charting. At a certain level, there are music consultants and lawyers on the payroll to take care of things like this before the release. And sometimes, rarely, it happens that maybe a song is already written and the video is done and some promotion has been done and they realize there could be the potential for a lawsuit. But even in that case, they simply do the math and they budget losing a lawsuit on that song. Because let's say they know it's gonna go #1 and they make 5, 10, 20, 30, 50 million dollars. And of course, it's not only out of streaming services, but it's live shows and everything that comes with being on top 10, let's say. What if they have to pay, let's say, $250,000 or $500,000 or even $1 million? They're still gonna make bank. They don't care. Things like this at a certain level, they can be budgeted in and it's not a problem. And then there's the question of hip hop. Hip hop historically sampled old songs or other songs. And many times they don't even credit the sample, they don't pay any royalties, they don't split any royalties, and they don't get sued. Why? Because it's short enough or mangled enough not to give ground for a lawsuit, but it's still recognizable and familiar. The roots of hip hop itself is sampling. And this started happening more and more and more because of the way we compose music nowadays, using samples. And I'm not talking about sampling an existing record, but loops, right? Pre-made loops and pre-made chord progressions and pre-made melodies that everyone has access to. So this will soon become, if it hasn't already, a matter of you simply can't sue everybody. It's like the speed limit on the highway. If we all go 75 miles per hour, they can't stop all of us, right? But jokes aside, I'm not condoning plagiarism by any stretch of imagination. I myself am a guy that doesn't use loops and it plays everything from scratch and original. You saw me just last week going live on Instagram and embarrassing myself while live streaming me putting those guitar parts on one of Bella's new songs. Today's pop music is a lot of repackaging, but you know what? There is an art in doing that as well. And looking at Dua Lipa's Levitating, they made a hit, no doubt, period. Her vocal lines are great, the melodies are super catchy, the production is great. Josh Goodwin, shout out to him, he did an amazing mix on that one, and the mastering as well. Did they use a common chord progression and a rhythm? Yeah, just like another 2,000 bands and artists before them. They did it better. And did you hear Article Sound System song? Does the mix sound the same or the mastering sound the same? The production sound the same? No, it doesn't. Dua Lipa's Levitating sounds like a hit because it's been produced, mixed and mastered by professionals. Now tell me again how that doesn't count. You know what? If a song doesn't sound like a hit, it won't be a hit. They did it better. And of course, there is the massive promotion that Dua Lipa has. And I also saw Adam here on YouTube, he made a video too about this. He posted some audio clips and messages between the producer and Dua Lipa, and it's well documented how Levitating was created. The producer just bought a new Korg synth, I think, and those chords progression were the first thing that he played, and he took them to the session, and basically that was the core of the song. She started improvising the top lines on it, which again, there are so many melodies and top lines that will fit in those 4 common chords. But anyway, I thought this was a good chance to start a little conversation about the state of music productions and pop music nowadays. I'm curious to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comment down below. Before you go, check the info box down below with all the links. Click the join button if you really want to learn how to mix and master professionally and become a MixBuzz TV member. Subscribe if you haven't already. Stay safe. See you next time.
Hands on my neck, hands grip my throat. Lift me up.